Hello guys, gals, and non-binary pals, it's Sammy Flair, back with another something. Vlog, update, sermon, I don't know, doesn't really matter. I want to start today's video by telling you a story. I recently went to my first NHL game as Sammy, and while it was a lot of fun, it's actually not what I'm here to talk about today. And you know me, I could talk about some hockey. What I actually want to talk about happened towards the end of the game. My friend and I were sitting there thinking about what we were going to do with the rest of our night. After all, it's Saturday night. It's only about 10 o'clock. The night is young-ish for a couple of 30-ish women. What are we going to do? And I, in my infinite wisdom, along with a little bit of help from my friend Captain Morgan, I was picking up my leg there and then I realized that you can't actually see it. It's not in frame, so sorry for the visual gag that you didn't see. I blurted out, let's go to Topgolf. Okay, well maybe I didn't say it exactly like that, but again, Captain Morgan, you get the idea. That actually sounds like a pretty innocent suggestion until I tell you two things. Number one, I used to work at this Topgolf that we're talking about going to. And without trying to sound arrogant, most of the people that I worked with really liked me. It made it pretty difficult for me to walk out the doors on my last day, but hey, it was time to go. But number two, and probably more importantly, for those of you that remember my whole debacle from last year about the forced outing at work, yeah, it was at this Topgolf. And really, outside of one Halloween, I had never been in that place as Sammy before. So I think you have a rough idea of why I was hesitant to go back, at least looking like this. Honestly, I'm looking at it now and I feel like I even looked better that night. Like, this is just home makeup. And as soon as those words left my mouth, and my friend agreed that yes, that's absolutely what we should do with our evening, I got a very familiar sinking feeling. And trust me, you don't have to be a crossdresser to know what it is I'm describing. It's the line of thought that goes through your mind as you're about to meet a new group of people. It's the red alert that goes off somewhere back here when you're about to emit a particular noise/smell in a quiet room. It's the source of nerves that most people get when they're about to engage in some public speaking. You know what I'm talking about? It's the crippling voice in your head that says, what are people going to think of me? I'd be lying if I said that I don't deal with this on a somewhat regular basis. Hell, I even dealt with it while we were getting into the Uber to go to the hockey game that very same night. Unfortunately, that fear has caused me to not go out like this and do some fun things in the past. But as we were going towards my former workplace, knowing full well that I was going to be face to face with a bunch of people that I loved, some of whom may not know about this part of me, I asked myself one very simple question. Why do you care? No, seriously, why do you care what they think about you? Have you seen that meme with the stick figure that is raising his finger, about to say something profound, and then all of a sudden just shuts his mouth? Yeah, that one. That was me in the moment. I didn't have an answer for my own question. I've had some time to reflect on this, and I want to offer some quick thoughts as to why we should probably care a whole lot less as to what people think about us. Believe it or not, I've gotten pretty good at not caring what the general public thinks about me, and that's actually a huge step of growth for me because it's been a pain point for most of my life. But trust me, as somebody who took the time today to get dressed up like a woman, to record a video for the gracious and loving people known as the internet, and if I'm very lucky, it may be seen by a couple of hundred people. And I did all of this while I may or may not be wearing pants. It's honestly way better for me to live my life without this overarching fear, rather than worrying about what some stranger on the other side of this screen might be thinking about me. A quick disclaimer, I'm never going to advocate for being so carefree that you actually become careless. I don't think anybody would read into my words that much, but still felt like I needed to say it. Also, you definitely don't have to be in my specific shoes to glean something from this, so stick around. You might just learn something. There's something in psychology and sociology called the relationship funnel. The basic premise of this is that you can map out all of your existing relationships based on your emotional, mental, social, and relational capacities. The upper levels tend to be reserved for people that you more loosely associate with, whereas the lower levels are for people that you share your life on a much more intimate level with. It naturally takes this funnel shape because, well, we're finite creatures and we can't possibly afford to share our lives on a deep, meaningful level with more than just a handful of people. And because of that, I actually do advocate that for these people, we should care more about what they think. Maybe not every little detail, but keep in mind, these are the people that you are putting in this category. Maybe it's your spouse, or your family, or your trusted group of friends, somebody that you can confide in. Which means that if they have something to say about you, odds are they're saying it because they genuinely care about you, not because they have some personal preference on how you live your life. And conversely, I don't think that we can relegate every relationship to these upper levels of just being superficial. We do need deep, meaningful relationships to live our lives. We need that iron sharpening iron, so to speak. But as we start working our way up from these lower levels, I think it's healthy for us to start dropping some of these cares along the way. And one of my middle levels is my current boss. Now, do I really care what he thinks about me as a person? No, and I don't think that I should either. It would be nice if we got along. It'd be nice if he thought highly of me as a person. But the fact of the matter is that our relationship doesn't exist outside of work. And that means that all I should really be concerned with is what he thinks about me as an employee, what he thinks about my performance, and what he thinks about my potential for the future of the company. And as we start working our way even higher into those levels where some of my ex-coworkers live that I was talking about, I really find that there isn't much that I should actually care about how they view me. You know why? Because I rarely think about them, and odds are they rarely think about me as well. So why on earth am I devoting precious mental energy into maintaining some facade in the mind of somebody who I rarely see and even more rarely think about? Sounds kind of dumb when I put it that way, doesn't it? And this line of thought applies even more to people who, as far as I know, I only ever see once in my life. The people that were next to me at the hockey game, the Uber driver who got me there, the people who are at the grocery store that I frequent, YouTube commenters. You get the idea. So yeah, keep the relationship funnel in mind as you're processing whether you should really care about what somebody thinks about you. To that end, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. People are paying way less attention to you than you think they are. And even when they do, odds are they're not going to remember you all that much. Here, do a little experiment with me and I'll demonstrate. I want you to think about the last time you went out to eat in a restaurant, okay? I'm going to do it with you, so take some time. Think about where you ate last. You have it? Cool. Okay. Question number 1. Where did you go and what did you eat? In my case, I went to Panera. I got half a salad and I got half a bowl of mac and cheese. Okay. Question 2. How was it? How was the food? For me, it was okay. It was decent. It's about what I expect from Panera. There were a few more tomatoes than I would like in the salad, but past that, it's a serviceable meal. Cool. Question 3. Did you do anything else while you were in that restaurant? Did you talk with people or what? Did you stare at your phone the whole time? For me, I kind of had a working lunch. So I answered some emails and made some phone calls, and then I got out of there as soon as I was done. Okay. Now here's the really hard question. Do you remember anybody from that restaurant? Anybody at all. Could be another customer, could be the server, could be the host, could be the manager. Anyone? You remember anybody besides who you were actually with in that moment? Honestly, no, I don't. The only people that stick out in my mind, and I can't even picture them anymore, is I just know that there was an older couple sitting about 10 feet away from me and they paid a compliment to a server. And the only reason that I remember that is because it's impactful for me to see people thank servers or really anybody in the service industry. Whole nother video for a whole nother time. Do you get the picture? I remember everything about that restaurant that I went in there to do. I ordered my food, I ate my food, I did my work, and I bolted. Now there were probably 50 or more people in that restaurant, both customers and workers, and I'm sure I made eye contact with plenty of them and maybe even had a passing thought about them along the way, but outside of that older couple who said something nice to a server, I don't remember any of them. And odds are they probably don't remember me either. And take, for example, that opening story about me going to the hockey game. I don't remember basically anyone from that night. There were 20,000 people in that arena with me, and the only people that I remember were a couple of guys sitting 2 seats down from us, The only reason that I remember them, because they were talking to my friend because they found out that they grew up in the same town. That's it. The point is that you'd have to do something pretty impactful for somebody to pay attention to you for more than just a few seconds. So why do you care what they think about you? I was having a discussion the other day with my best friend, and we got on the topic of anxiety because, well, of course we did. But we stumbled into a point that I think we both knew but didn't realize, if that makes any sort of sense. What we realized is that anxiety is often a projection of our own internal fears. What do I mean by that? Track with me here for a second. This is the same best friend, the first man, mind you, to ever know about Sammy. I remember the days, the minutes, the hours, the seconds leading up to this confession, this coming out. And I was terrified, as most people would actually be, up until the point where I was sitting on his couch, spewing everything to him and his wife. And what was I actually terrified about? I was afraid that with this new information, it was going to drastically alter his perception of who I am. I was afraid of losing my best friend. I was afraid of being ostracized from somebody who I dearly love and who I know dearly loves me. And what happened? Well, none of that. He was just as gracious and loving as I know he is, but I allowed my thoughts of what I thought he would think about me to paint this new reality of the friend that I was about to lose, instead of just trusting in who I know he is, and instead of allowing himself to prove why he is my best friend as he has done countless times before. Get it? I also want to make quick mention of a quote I saw the other day. It said, "If it makes you happy, it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else." Eventually, we're gonna get to a point as a society where we can actually live and let live. But until that point, we just have to accept the reality that we can, and we will, be judged for literally anything about us. Every time I've told a guy about Sammy, they've had the same predictable reaction. It's, okay, I don't get it, kinda weird, but it makes you happy, so you go do you. Did it change how they thought about me in some way? Well, probably, yeah. But there's one very important thing that helped me push through that time after time after time. And it's that being Sammy makes me happier than hiding a significant part of myself and having people's view of me be incomplete. In other words, I would rather accept who I am and have people know the real me, even if it doesn't make sense, and they think I'm a little bit weird sometimes. Which in reality, I'm a lot of weird a lot of the time. This is just a drop in the bucket, y'all. Oh, and the rest of that story at Topgolf, it was all fine. Of course it was. Literally none of my fears came true. A lot of the people I used to work with came and talked to me and hung out, and some of them paid me compliments, and some of them hugged on me and said they were so excited to meet this version of me finally. And none of that would have happened if I had listened to my fears and cared too much about what I thought people would think of me. So, what do you think? Do you find yourself caring just a little bit too much about what people think about you? Have you found a good way to push through it or let go of that projected anxiety? Leave a comment or any questions you may have in the comment box below. But that is it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Click like if you liked this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. Don't swing a golf club when you got a little too much captain in you. Trust me, it did not turn out well.